Hello everybody, my name is Preethy Joseph and welcome to the video on the exam tips for the June 2019 exam for Advanced Audit and Assurance. Giving an idea about the paper is broken down into two sections. You've got section A and you've got section B. Section A is worth 50 marks. This is where you have the case study. As part of the 50 marks, this is where you have the 4 marks professional. What will be covered in that 4 marks profession? This is the easy marks where they will normally ask you to prepare what is called as a briefing note. The structure of the briefing note would be where you write to, from, date, subject, and then you have an introduction. So for writing to, from, date, subject, you get 1 mark. To give me the introduction, you get 1 mark. To talk about giving me a layout, so where you have a heading, you have subheadings, writing your answer into smaller paragraphs, that's all giving you another 1 mark. And the last 4th mark is for clarity of your explanation, of how well explained your answers are. So that's to do with your professional marks. And then the remaining marks then would be for the remaining part, the actual requirements of the question, where the different requirements would comprise of, first one would be revolving around audit risk, or they can ask you the risk of material misstatement. The second can be revolving around business risk. Then you have on other informations, you would definitely have audit procedures as well tested in section A of your paper. So what is sure going to come would be audit risk, would definitely be audit procedures. Business risk may be there, may not be there. They will ask you on other informations that you may expect to find or you will want to have an understanding about, to be able to know about this client a little more. There would be a question on knowledge worth around between 4 to 8 marks in the exam, which is part of the 50 marker. That is for sure. They would be a part of knowledge. It can be just simple questions like matters to be considered at the pre-acceptance stage of an audit, or what is the management and the auditor's responsibilities towards fraud, or else they can ask you on, give me the advantage or disadvantage of outsourcing a particular function within the company. So it can be different aspects that we're looking at. So this is the predominant structure that we're looking at for question number 1. Going to question number 2 and 3, which is part of section B of your paper. Each of those questions is going to be worth 25 marks. We'll start with one of the 25 marker, where they will ask you on topics to do with matters to be considered. Matters to be considered is the same structure as audit risk, where they will ask you describe what will be the matters to be considered and the audit evidences that you would expect to find. So when they focus on matters to be considered, as I told you, it is the same structure as audit risk, where you identify the issue, calculate materiality, talk about the accounting standard, tell me what is the audit risk. But then the remaining marks will be for the audit evidence. Then along with that, so that matters to be considered along with audit evidences would be worth around, let's say, between 15 marks, either between 12 to 15 marks, or it can be even 18 marks in the exam. Whereas the remaining marks will then be allocated for audit report. So where they will give you a part of a scenario and where they will say, describe what's going to be the impact on the audit report. So you need to discuss about the issue, where is the misstatement, and then tell me what kind of an opinion that you're going to be providing on that audit report. That is what would be as part of the one of the 25 mark question. The second 25 mark question would be revolving around other assurance assignments. In your other assurance assignments, there are 5 of them that you need to be comfortable with. So you have the PFI, which is prospective financial information. You have forensic, you have due diligence, social environmental information review, and the last one is the review of the FS. So you have to be comfortable. So they will be revolving around maybe say 20 marks just on, or can say between 18 marks to 20 marks just on the other assurance assignment. Questions can be revolving around what are the matters to be considered. They will ask you procedures that needs to be performed on that other assurance assignment. So it depends on what assignment that we're talking about. Along with that, in the same question, they will ask you on quality control issues. So the standard structure of how they will ask you, they'll say, describe what are the ethical, professional and quality issues and recommend the actions that needs to be carried out. So that is another topic area that you need to be comfortable with. Keep in mind, our examiner will ensure that they do test all the areas of the syllabus. Make sure you do study all the topic areas. In terms of time, how much time do you need to allocate to what topic? So question number 1 is a 50 marker. You need a total of 1.5 hours to do that particular question. Whereas in section B, you have 225 mark question. Each of the questions should be taking you around 45 minutes to do each question. That totals up to another 1.5 hours. That's the second half of it. In terms of the structure, as to I would advise you personally would be is start with section B of your paper, because section A would actually take a lot of your time. Because, you know, as if you have practiced a full 50 mark question, you would realize that especially when you attempt audit risk questions, it is very, very time consuming, and you have a lot of information in your head, and you may tend to exceed the required time that you may allocate to do that particular part. So it's always advisable to start with section B. You can do either of them. You can either do question 2 first or question 3 first, whichever is your choice. You know, whichever your comfort area is, your strong point is, whether if it's matters to be considered, do that question first. If it's other assurance assignment, do that first. Get over, so focus for 1.5 hours. The first 1.5 hours should be allocated purely just for section B of your paper. Then followed by that, you then need to do your section A. When you're doing a section A, so you keep up to the time. Immediately 1.5 hours is over, stop. Immediately start off, leave space if you haven't completed, leave space, as many space as you want, pages as you want. Start with section A of your paper. Start off with the structure of your briefing note, to, from, date, subject, introduction, and then start with the body. When you start with the body, do not start. You can do it in any sequence you want, whether you want to start with, you don't need to go in the same sequence like A, then do B, then do C, then do D. No requirements at all. Start always with the knowledge question. So like, for example, if the question was talking about part D, asked you on matters to be considered at the pre-acceptance stage of the audit, you always start with the knowledge first. Get done with that. Do the smaller questions first so that you are out of the way. You get those questions. So you do the knowledge first, that's part D maybe. Do part C, which may be, let's say, audit procedures. Do that, get that out of the way. And then whatever time that you have left till the very end, when they say you to stop the exam, keep writing audit risk or business risk, depending on what is the information or what are the requirements asked for you in the question. So then you don't need to be stressed, you don't need to be worried or worked up about the point that, oh, I'm running out of time, I haven't done the other parts of the question. Because keep in mind, AAA, Advanced Audit and Assurance paper, is a very, very time pressured exam. You will need to make sure your eyes is kept to the clock and you keep it to the time. When the first 1.5 hours is over, please make sure you stop. Wherever you have read, just stop doing section B and move on to section A. Do the bits that are smaller first, yeah, and then at the end, focus your majority of your time on attempting audit risk and business risk. I hope you have enjoyed this video. All the very, very best, guys, for your exam, and good luck. Take care. Bye.